Hello everyone and welcome to Monday's edition of the Chris Pritchard Cycling News Show. Have we got a news show for you today? Yeah, we have, yeah. Is it going to be a long one? Hopefully longer than 10 minutes. Is it going to be a good one? You decide on that one. Let's get straight into the racing news. Alright, the biggest news, well, I say the biggest news, a couple of big stories coming out from this weekend. The first one is over in cyclocross and Wout Van Aert took his first victory since his return after that horrific crash, stage 13, Tour de France. We spoke about it loads on the show, but he is back to winning ways. And Steven Kruijswijk put this little gif on Twitter, celebrating the victory. Yes, yes, Wout Van Aert, yes. When I crossed the line, a lot of things went through my mind. This is the confirmation that I'm still able to do it. It might not be the biggest victory, but it certainly feels like it, especially in front of my home crowd. It went through my mind all week, this race and the dream to win here. It's a nice reward after all I have been through in the past few months. This is quite emotional. Over in the women's race, it was almost an identical finish to the World Championships last week, with Celine Alvarado going head to head again with Anne-Marie Verst. And again, Selena Alvarado took the victory ahead of Anne-Marie Verst. It's great to see Wout Van Aert back to winning ways, but the question is, especially as we're heading to road season, is he going to be able to do that on the road? There's a big difference between an hour cyclocross race and a 6-hour endurance road race. Leave your comments down below. Do you think Wout Van Aert, even though he looks like he's back to winning ways, is he going to be able to transfer that onto the road and be just as successful as he was prior to that crash? Leave them down below. Next up, a couple of stage races finished over the weekend. The first up was the Herald Sun Tour down in Oz. Overall victory here going to Team Sunweb rider Jay Hindley. In second place was Sebastian Berrig. He rides for the St George Continental Cycling Team, and Mitchelton Scott's Damon Howson finished third. Back over here in Europe, the final stage of Volta a la Comunitat Valencia took place, and Tadej Pogacar secured overall victory ahead of Jack Haig, and Theo Geoghegan-Hart finished in third on exactly the same time. The only thing separating Jack Haig and Theo Geoghegan-Hart was stage positionings, so Jack Haig took that second place. Another stage race to finish over the weekend was of course the Saudi Tour, and this one finished with a little bit of well, technically there was no controversy, but that in itself produced controversy. So the overall winner was Phil Bauhaus, second place was Nasser Bouhanni, and the general classification of that race came down to the final sprint. Take a look at it here.
Bauhaus goes for the line, Bouhanni is going to challenge, Bauhaus goes, Bouhanni challenges, Bouhanni goes, oh, Bouhanni unhappy, Bauhaus takes the victory, takes the win, takes the Saudi Tour. What a tremendous sprint.
Now if we're watching that back in the 80s, probably nothing wrong with that. If anything, he did the right thing. He tried to get in the way of the guy who was clearly faster than him, coming from behind, taking him from the rear and sealing that victory. But it's not the 80s. Alright? It's a very dangerous sport nowadays compared to how it used to be. And now riders have to stick to their lane that they choose when they set off on their sprint. And Bauhaus clearly didn't. You can see he deviated not once but twice across the road. You can see that Phil Bauhaus started his sprint on the inside line, going around that tight left-hander on the left-hand side of the road. When he finished his sprint, he eventually ended up in the middle. Now there is a subtle way of going from the left to the middle without it appearing like you're trying to deviate across your line. Phil Bauhaus just didn't decide to do that. He chopped twice across Nasser Bouhanni, and someone you don't want to do that in front of is Nasser Bouhanni. I'm surprised it didn't actually come to blows after the finish line. But unbeknownst to me and everybody else that watched it, Phil Bauhaus wasn't disqualified. And a DQ would have actually changed the overall general classification, because Nasser Bouhanni would have taken the victory. He would have taken an overall general classification victory at the Saudi Tour. Potentially Bauhaus would have finished second if he'd have got demoted one place, because it looked clear that those two were ahead of everybody else. But I mean, they could have just disqualified him out of the whole stage, which could have put him out of contention for the GC. But as it stands, Bahrain have got their first stage victory via someone doing something they shouldn't have. I mean, why is he not disqualified? Where are the judges? And what are they watching when this is happening? So Phil Bauhaus takes victory in the Saudi Tour, but leave your comments down below on this one. I don't even know why I'm asking the question. Let me ask you this question. Is there anybody out there who doesn't think he should be disqualified? Nobody came down, fair enough, but it could have ended in an absolute disaster. That could have finished Nacer Bouhanni and anybody else who got caught up in that crash. It could have finished their season. So if you let him get away with it now, when's he going to do it again, and what are the consequences going to be next time? So if you think that he was fairly judged and he shouldn't have been disqualified, then leave your comments down below. Leave your comments down below regardless. Next up, sticking with racing news, but this is track racing news. Berlin World Championships are just around the corner and Team GB have selected and named their team heading to Berlin, ready for the final qualification for Tokyo 2020. So starting with the men's endurance team, Ed Clancy, Keane Mardy, Ethan Hayter, Mark Stewart, Charlie Tanfield, Matt Walls and Ollie Wood make up the 7 riders for the men's endurance team. Women's endurance is Katie Archibald, Eleanor Barker, Ellie Dickinson, Nia Evans, Laura Kenny and Josie Knight. No surprises there in that strong, solid women's endurance team. Men's sprint takes Jack Carlin, Phil Hine, well pretty much everyone apart from Joe Truman really, which is a shame. So Jack Carlin, Phil Hines, Jason Kenny and Ryan Owens. And then in the women's sprint, Lauren Bate, Sophie Capewell and Katie Marchant. They're going to take place 26th of February to the 1st of March. So Berlin is going to host the 2020 UCI Track World Championships. Now for me as a Team GB supporter, I don't know. They normally fly a little under the radar when it comes to the Track World Championships prior to an Olympics. It's almost like they're either still deep in training or they're holding something back. They don't always fully commit. Now, last time, 2016, they won 5 gold medals. However, I think only 2 of those were in Olympic disciplines. In terms of the team sprint, they weren't even on the podium. Men's team pursuit, they were 2nd. Women's team pursuit finished 3rd. And then they go and smash it in the Olympics. So it's going to be great to see what happens this year. Are they going to put their stake in the ground and say, we're here, we're already on fire, and we're ready to win everything? Is that a good tactic? Or is it better just to sit back, let's see what everybody else is doing, let them push themselves a little bit harder. We're still in a training block. Yay, it's a World Championships, rainbow jerseys and all that, but we would sooner take gold come the summer rather than a rainbow jersey right now. So it's going to be interesting to see how those track championships actually pan out. I'll be honest, I'm really nervous about Team GB's aspirations at this year's Olympics. I want them to dominate as much as they have done for the last couple of years. I want them to secure gold medals in well, everything. All right, but especially those major ones. For instance, Ed Clancy, it's going to be his last. I mean, he could probably go for another one, but it will be his last Olympics. I want to see him go out with a gold medal. I want to see him. He won at 08, he won in 2012, 2016, and hopefully 2020. If he can do that, unbelievable. But I can't help thinking that with staff changes, with all the issues that seem to be going on down there, is it a tight unit? Is it how it used to be? Even though back in the day there was probably more issues, but they were just all on the line and no one actually spoke about them. I don't know. There's obviously new staff in there. You haven't got the likes of Shane Sutton in there anymore. Dave Brailsford's not there anymore. So you've got a lot of people who are untested when it comes to the Olympic build-up, the Olympic Games themselves, and how the athletes actually get there in their best physical shape. Obviously they've got the new Hope and Lotus bike. Is that going to give them the edge that they need to go and secure gold medals in everything? I don't know. If I knew, I'd be a psychic, but I'm not. But yeah, it'd be interesting to get your thoughts, especially you Aussies. How do you think that your team are going to fare in this coming World Championship? And leave your comments for other countries as well, if your country's in there. Give us your predictions. And finally, in today's show, it's over to you. This is your moment to shine. It's your moment to give back to the cycling community. Now, it might not directly impact you, but your help could have a direct impact on the racing scene here in the UK, which I'm sure you'll agree it's on its arse. It's like a dead gazelle in the Sahara Desert. Almost dead, nearly dead. And there's a tiger approaching it, and it's just going to eat it. Unless we do something about it. Now, was it a few weeks ago or potentially a couple of months ago, we spoke about the potential of the Lincoln Grand Prix, which is one of the most historic, one of the biggest, one of the best events here in the UK, could potentially be cancelled after the main sponsor, Chestnut Homes, pulled out because of everybody's fans' favourite, Brexit, as well as British Cycling making great decisions, deciding to not put any televised highlights of the national rounds out on TV. Instead, deciding to put those highlights out on local television, I presume around Lincoln. Yay! So instead of an hour's highlights on Eurosport, TV Lincoln are going to get 1 minute, if that, of footage. It's no surprise that there's no sponsors. Anyway, it's been brought to my attention again because the British Continental tweeted this out. So this is a link to their interview that they did with the organiser of the Lincoln Grand Prix, Dan Elmore, and in it said, without a sponsor there will be no race in 2020 and it is unlikely to be able to resurrect the race from there. The Lincoln GP's future hangs in the balance, but organisers hope a new sponsor will be announced soon. So I replied to that tweet saying, seriously, how much will we need to raise to make sure this race happens? To which Dan actually responded saying it takes 45k to run 2 races. Currently we are looking for 20k in total. If we can't find it soon, we will explore crowdfunding options. We'll keep everyone posted and keep working at it. Now the regular viewers amongst you might remember when I first spoke about this story, and jokingly I did say, shall we set up a crowdfunder? And if I did, would you be willing to put some money in? And there were quite a few people that actually said, yeah, I'll put a few quid in. Now we need more than that. And I've gone one step further and I've actually set up a crowdfunding website page, whatever you want to call it, to try and help the Lincoln GP, to see if we can actually save it, to see if we can take back power from the sponsors. I mean, if they find a sponsor, then great. We don't need to do anything. We can go and enjoy the event. But if they don't find a sponsor and we can raise enough money and allow that event to go on, imagine how good that's going to make you feel that you're part of it. Now, an easy way of actually making this all happen would be to charge people for standing at the side of the road. Now, I know you can't do that, but if you charged everyone £2-3 to stand on Michaelgate, which I'm sure they'd all willingly pay, you'd probably be able to cover this, but you can't because it's public highway, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why you can't ticket a cycling event, but you can't. So how's about us, the community, try and raise enough money to make sure the Lincoln Grand Prix goes ahead. Links down in the description. Not asking for any amount specifically. Give as much as you can if you would like to try and help save the Lincoln Grand Prix. It means so much to me, this race, because I've seen so many friends win it. I've been there and watched so many people win this race. I've seen so many people struggle up that hill, and it means so much to the racing scene here in the UK, and it means a lot to Lincoln to have this race on. And if we can do a tiny small part in making sure that it goes ahead, then that'll be pretty bloody awesome. So can we give back to the cycling community? Is there something we can all do? I'm asking for 25 grand, and if we can do it, we'll try and speak to the sponsor of getting something that we all have a say in on a sponsor board, potentially. I don't know. But first things first, we need to raise that money. If you wanted help, donate down below in that link. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you hit that like button if you've not done already. Hit that subscribe button. We'll be back again tomorrow. Don't forget, it's the Brewdog Chain Gang first social ride. We've got 6 weeks of social 6 weeks? 6 weeks of social rides on Zwift with the Brewdog Chain Gang, 7 PM Tuesday UK time. Make sure you're there. Nice easy ride, nice fun ride, nothing too spectacular. See you then.